So good morning, everyone. And we'll start. Some people newly here, first time. Welcome, 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 welcome. And everyone else. So we'll start with, in this folder, reciting together the page 14, Refuge and Bodhicitta. So we can recite together by way of setting our mind in positive direction, positive energy. We recite 3 times together. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. So then, continuing on from there, just taking a few moments in quiet reflection on your particular motivation for engaging in this study, study and practice and discussion and so forth on this topic, how to meditate, what it is that specifically has brought you to decide that, what you're wishing to gain and so forth. Just setting your own, take the time to settle your mind into that space, just quietly. You can leave all our books aside and everything. We'll got plenty of time for that. But just taking some time to quieten your mind into this space, into your body, into your motivation for being here. I think how very fortunate not only having that motivation, that aspiration, that wish. As Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, everything exists on the tip of a wish. And from that very tip of the wish has manifested into reality. Here we are. In other words, all the causes and conditions have come together. Nothing got in the way. Just having a quiet conversation with Brian about the fact that there are people who can't get here physically, but they still want to engage. So from our side, we want to make that possible so that all the conditions are there for more people from our side. But from, each one of us from our side had to make some effort to get here, to be here, to manage our life today and for the coming weeks, however much we can do. And that is such a rare and precious opportunity in our lives, the most rare, precious opportunity. So just think, wow, how amazing, and keeping our motivation at the forefront as we engage in listening, reflecting on, meditating on this topic. Check up as we go along. Okay, then just when you're ready, open your eyes, relax. Now settled into this space. So some of you have been on this journey of this Discovering Buddhism course previously, when we were looking at the module of mind and its potential. So this course then comes along as the next module. But of course, everyone welcome to come for 1 week, the whole time or so forth. Those who've signed up for the whole time get all the notes and readings and so forth. and the encouragement from me to do all the meditations and do all the readings and answer all the questions and so forth too. It is a certificate course that goes over 2 years. This particular topic, we're very fortunate that we've been able to allocate the wisdom of our director. Thank you very much. 7 weeks to this topic in terms of the Sunday mornings, and then topping that off with the actual each of these modules of discovering Buddhism has a practice component, doing together in a retreat style. So we'll do that Easter retreat, and those who can join us and so forth. So those who have registered for this, maybe if you haven't registered but you're interested to register, I think maybe there's someone you see. Is there someone at the office or whatever, someone taking care?
Sorry, I'll be doing that for the Sunday.
Brian, thank you so much, Brian. Yes. And then you can get that, sent all those materials as we go along. Like today, there'll be occasional handouts as well. So yeah, those who have the notes, you whether you refer to them now or not is up to you, because we have I think Karma, do you want to just look at that for today? Did you want to look at, yes, Karma. Yeah. Notes for today. And then you've got them online, but wasn't able to just sort of get it organized for today. So okay, like that. Okay, so just looking at situating where this topic comes, as I said, it's the second module in discovering Buddhism. And I do appreciate that some of you are coming just along for this, and that's absolutely fine. But just setting the framework for that in terms of, on the basis of having the previous module, those who are here, some understanding of the nature of mind, the functioning of mind, the different aspects of mind, and so forth. Here in How to Meditate, it's like whatever we understand, applying that in our own experience so that we check up, we investigate the nature of mind and the function of mind in relation to our own personal experience. As the Buddha said in all of the teachings, don't just take what I say for granted. You check up, you test it. If it was gold, you'd be burning it and melting it and rubbing it and doing whatever you can to make sure it's real gold, and you haven't been, someone's not trying to put one over you, if you like. But we check up through our own experience. And also where it sits then as some working basis of understanding of the mind, which we develop more and more over time as we go along. And this topic, how to actually meditate on the topics we're engaging in. Then the next one along comes presenting the path to enlightenment, Lam Rim, the step-by-step stages on the path to enlightenment. And that encompasses really all the rest of the whole course, so that then we can more effectively put what we learn as we go along into practice, because we've got the foundation of all these different meditation methods and what you use this for and what you use that for, and so forth and so forth. So here we're looking at this presentation within the context of a Buddhist practice. When we hear meditation, it can mean many things to many people, right? Many, many different things to many people. And there are very many different modalities of meditation. There's modalities of meditation that have nothing to do, or at least are not presented in a way that has anything to do with a spiritual practice. And that's fine, because it actually helps people with physical pain and so forth. There's been many studies done on it. We won't elaborate on that. But here, what we're looking at in terms of meditation is within the context of the Buddhist tradition. So in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, it's explained as a process of familiarization or habituation with virtuous qualities of mind. So that gives you a hint what the direction is. Gives you a big hint. So when we say familiarization or habituation, the word in Tibetan is gom, to familiarize, to habituate. We could say to cultivate, because the word in Sanskrit is indeed that, to cultivate or develop, to develop our minds, to cultivate our minds. So this is what we're looking at in terms of our context of what and how we meditate. Lama Yeshe said who is the founder of our organization, his reincarnation, Tenzin Oso, turned 37 yesterday. We were sending off birthday wishes, so young Spanish man. And so Lama Yeshe, Universal Love, that's the book, Universal Love. I'll refer to books. We meditate to experience how our mind works. We meditate to investigate the basic energy we already have, the energy of our body, speech, and mind. What is it? Where does it come from? Why does it do what it does? This is not an external search, it's a search of our mind, and is so worthwhile. To our surprise, perhaps, we discover that meditation allows us to control small things we couldn't control before. I got a feeling this is why people keep coming back, because they see that it's the small things, you know. We say from little things, big things grow. Yep, the song. This encourages us to go further. We realize that far from being weak, we have fantastic abilities and potential. We stop thinking I'm hopeless, I can't do anything, and no longer rely on others to do everything for us. That sounds pretty attractive, very attractive. But it is within the context, as I said, of having, we always talk about having an object of meditation, something that we focus on. And so it is on the foundation of having some working understanding of the mind already and its nature, its function. In other words, something to actually focus on. So, you know, at all levels of Buddhist study, we take it onto the cushion, as the Buddha said, take it onto the cushion. Don't just listen to the teachings, take it onto the cushion. And the Buddha represented these as the three wisdoms, the wisdoms of studying, listening, getting that initial, whatever initial understanding we have. Some people here I can see have more than just a initial understanding, have quite some understanding. And then we reflect on it, we discuss it, we debate it, we raise qualms, we say, oh, but this doesn't work for me, you know, or etc., etc. So we refine, it's a process of refining our mind and refining our wisdom mind, because the job of the mind is to know things. And then deepen that knowledge in our actual practice. I like to think, you know, I tell myself it's getting into your DNA, and I thought, well, that doesn't work because you're going to leave your body behind when you die. So that's not going to help you being in your DNA. But we talk about in the very subtle levels of our mind stream of laying some habituation, some familiarization, that cultivation of virtue and the virtuous qualities of the mind. So that's our purpose here. And I was reflecting this morning about what Geshe Kelsang Wangmo said. So Geshe Kelsang Wangmo is the first female Geshe, the first one to be bestowed the Geshe degree, German woman, who's now teacher, right, of course. And the Geshe degree comes after 20, 25 years of study, reflection, meditation, and so forth. So how did she enter on that journey? How did she start out? She went to Dharamsala with her mother on holidays when she was young. And the holiday was coming to an end, and a mother was saying, okay, we're going home. She says, no, I'm not going home. I'm staying. I'm going to stay here and do retreat, meditate. So her mum goes home, and then she realizes, I haven't got a clue what I'm going to meditate on. I better study. 25 years later. Okay. Now, I did say this course is around 2 years, and this particular module around 7 or 8. So don't panic. Let's not panic. Okay, so it's a way that we bring about change in our habits, our behavior, that ultimately leads us to this complete liberation from the causes of suffering. And you might say, oh, actually, I haven't had those teachings yet. Four Noble Truths, sort of basic foundation of the Buddhist teachings. That's okay. We learn as we go along. But we, even without having the Buddhist teachings on that, it's just like, I just want to get some control of my mind. That's overcoming the causes of suffering, the things that cause my mind to get hijacked and go in each other direction than the one I want it to go in. So we're taming this, what we say, monkey mind that is just like distracted. Oh, look at that. Oh, fruit up there. Oh, this, that, going here, there, and everywhere. That's the experience we have, isn't it? And when we engage in our daily activity, going, around, of course, we're focused outwards, which is objects of the senses. So when we come to meditate, I think that's the most delicious thing. First of all, we're giving the senses a break. We're settling. We're starting to settle. We're starting to settle. And then more and more we get better and better at it. Okay. Right. So it's a little bit about what meditation is, maybe what it's not. It's not just relaxation. There is an aspect of needing relaxation to be able to get our mind to settle and so forth. Absolutely. It's in the Buddha's teachings. It's in all the presentations on setting up meditation, how to meditate and so forth. It's absolutely there, but it's not just relaxation. So that's one thing it's not. So for example, if the only time I think, oh, I'll practice meditation before I go to sleep at night and help me have a good night's sleep. Well, you could argue that's relaxation and not necessarily meditation. It could be meditation if we set up a formal posture and so forth. But if that's the only meditation I do, you're not going to progress. You're not going to cultivate anything. And I suspect it would be called sleepitating. That it's like, we're drifting off. So it's not the quality. The Buddha did indeed say, meditate sitting, lying, standing, walking. So lying is there, but we adopt a formal meditation posture. We'll get onto meditation posture in a little bit. So it's not that. So also, when I first was dabbling with establishing a meditation practice, I thought, the commute to work is around 20 minutes. That's a good meditation amount of time. I'd get on the train at my station, sit there in my I wasn't sitting here like that. I wasn't a nun then, by the way. I was a layperson going to work, commuting just like everyone else. In Sydney. Oh, that's the context, Sydney. Just a little bit of noise factor. And crowds, because, you're there in peak hour traffic and you sit in the carriage and then somebody comes in, doof, 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 and then they start talking and then the perfume comes and then someone on the other side of you wants to get off and so you've got to move. It's not conducive to meditation whatsoever, right? Maybe advanced yogis already got very established, doesn't matter, where they are. But as a beginner, I had to say, don't fool yourself, girl, this is not meditation, okay? So it's not any of those things, but it is, we can, with the right conducive conditions, and that's what we're going to, that's where we're heading now, we can, just like the great yogis of the past, attain exquisite states of mind that would actually blow our mind, to have exquisite mental quiescence. I just love the words. To have single-pointed concentration, that you can focus on whatever you want for as long as you want, and nothing distracts you. The fans, the noise of somebody, something, the light outside, nothing is distracting you, just in the zone, in the zone. And having emotional balance, that you're not being yanked around and reacting to this and reacting to that, or, oh, I want, I don't want. It's sort of what we're doing 24/7. No wonder we get exhausted. We don't even realize we're doing that, but we are. So this is one of the things we investigate. So, but having that exquisite emotional balance where, we talk about emotional flourishing, all the positive. In fact, part of the aspect of meditation, if we're following the Buddha's teaching, what did the Buddha do? Pacify everything that disturbed the mind, have this exquisite emotional balance beyond, with all the positive, virtuous states of mind fully complete, as far as they could be completed. So one side is the pacification, the purification, and we have indeed meditation practices to deal with that. And the other side is accumulating all the positive, virtuous states of mind. So we have these two aspects of practice, purifying and accumulation. And this will become, if it's, the context for this will be, we can appreciate more as we reflect on this as we go along. Okay. So we might have other examples of our own lives of what meditation is not, but I'll just move on. All right, so then where to meditate? Clearly, some people were coming for meditation. They come every Sunday morning and every Tuesday morning, and when they can. So this is quite a good place to meditate. Why? Because it's had an accumulation of people meditating here, even before it was, a Buddhist center. There was a Sikh. So all that positive energy of prayers and practices accumulated over, I don't know how many decades, because I don't know how long they were here before. But I do remember last, 2 years ago when I was here, a gentleman came in and bringing his son to show him the place they previously came to worship. It was so nice. And the Sikh gentleman, very beautiful, a wonderful thing to do. Anyway, so having a place like this to come to meditate, excellent. So I will be, of course, encouraging you, if possible, Sunday morning meditation right before this. It gets our mind in the right state. Maybe some of you I know did do already. And then Tuesday, or whenever you can come together as a group to meditate, is real. As beginners, it really strengthens the synergy, the power of our meditation, and starts to give us a structure, a routine, a sense of confidence in what we can do, right? So that, and of course we have the opportunity at Easter time to do more in a retreat setting, which can help us with structuring our own practice and so forth. The main thing is to be able to start and have a place, of course, at home, isn't it? Somewhere at home that we can meditate. So generally it's advised, have somewhere that is, not too noisy, not, that you can easily get. Often the instructions are given in relation to people who are going to be doing long retreat. So that doesn't sort of apply, don't be in danger of wild animals and so forth. Or maybe it does at your place, I'm not sure. was just thinking, when I first came here, I joined the next door neighbor app. I've just taken myself off that because it's too much, but sometimes there'd be things like snake spotted, or are there snakes around? I haven't seen a thing. I mean, I used to that at Chenrezig Institute, snakes and so forth, but you know, you didn't feel in danger. It was on land consecrated by the lamas, and I know for myself, you know, when I ordained, I made myself the commitment that I'd always live in a place consecrated by lamas, by, you know, sort of, and maybe you think, and the reason is protection for the mind. That's why, protection for my mind. And I find it quite useful. I mean, I hope I have the karma, so far so good, to continue down that vein. And you might go, well, yeah, I mean, unless you've had an opportunity for a lama, I guess, or, you know, sangha come and consecrate your house and bless your house, then maybe you say, oh, well, I haven't got that. That's okay, don't relax. Somewhere just like conducive, like I like hearing Thich Nhat Hanh would talk about have a breathing room. I love it. A breathing room in the house, a breathing room where you can just breathe. And one of the students who, when I was at Vajrayana Institute, and she was meditation regular, and then eventually she was leading meditation, she was leading it at her kids' school and so forth. And so when the kids were getting a bit tantrumy and ratty, she would just say, go to the breathing room. It wasn't like my experience of go to your room and come out when you're a more reasonable person. I mean, thankfully my mother said that. But I think I just sat there stewing, which didn't make me any more reasonable. But if you go into the breathing room and just breathe, just relax, chill, at least, you know. I love that. It's a delightful idea. Now, some people I know set up meditation, dedicated their own little gompa, meditate. Gom and pa means place or hall. Meditation, this is a meditation hall, meditation place. So some people have that in their own house, and that's great, but not everyone has the opportunity for that. You know, depends, you know, what your conditions are, or you can think about, well, at least at that time of day, it can be my meditation place. You know, so whatever we can do, where we can meditate. In general, it's said not in your bedroom, but I have to say I spent many, many years, I just in my mind sectioned off that part of my bedroom as being separate. And sometimes I was able to do it physically, depending on where I was living, and sometimes not. Particularly if you're sharing with other people and so forth. Anyway, whatever your circumstance, find a place that you think, yeah, this is going to work for me, and make that your meditation place. You know, there's many stories that are told, like of, well, actually, when I think about it, when I think of, you know, when I went to Sarah J Monastery and saw the tiny little rooms that our, you know, Geshe's trained in, Geshe Sampton, who we went on that pilgrimage with, is the teacher at Vajrayana Institute, and took us there, and it's tiny little rooms. So that would have been his meditation, his study. He was across the road from the library, so he probably did study over there. When he was growing up in learning, but it would have been in his actual room there, you know. And sometimes he was sharing his room with someone else. So you do what you can, you know. From I think 2006 was the first time I was asked to could I go and visit someone in prison for the Liberation Prison Project, and so when I started visiting, I was just blown away by the guys, it was guys that I was visiting, determination to practice in conditions where they didn't have a choice of deciding which room of the house. You know, they didn't have that option, and often sharing with someone else. And I remember one guy saying, well, it's a little bit noisy from fairly early in the morning. You know, you in a prison, you have pretty harsh sounds around. Not always. I've been to some very nice Kandrila when she went to one of the prisons in Victoria. She said, "You guys are on holiday camp compared to the prisons in Tibet." You know, didn't stop them meditating in Tibet either, right? Wherever you could. So anyway, so they just say, well, I just get up earlier in the morning when it's quiet before, you know, too much doof coming in the ears. So just sort of do what you can, isn't it? Which comes to the when of meditation. So again, it's traditionally presented in the relation to doing retreat sessions. So when it's presented like that, it's like 4 sessions a day. So that was the other thing I was going to say. When you have an opportunity, I might have already said it, for group retreats, 1 day, 2 days, because we've got regular days here, right? Saturdays every month or so, retreat day. Take the opportunity. When we can travel a bit more, there are opportunities to do longer retreats in other places, particularly our retreat centres, Chenrezig Institute and Datong Ling in Kangaroo Island and so forth, and Atisha Centre, Bendigo. Anyway, when we have opportunities, or, you know, many people, as many of our elders connected with the lamas at Kopan Monastery, where there's, you know, the past few years there hasn't been, but month-long retreat that goes through basically all that we're covering in the whole of Discovering Buddhism, one big chunk in a month, you know, and that's full immersion. But, you know, even we're not doing those 4 sessions a day, you go, I've got to work, I've got family, I've got commitments, I've got responsibilities, got other things to do. Absolutely, I'm with you. So then finding a time of day when it's most conducive, the when, that we can do what we can. So generally that is advised to be first thing in the morning, whatever your first thing in the morning is, because our mind's as fresh as possible. It hasn't yet engaged too much in all the sensory engagement around. I mean, maybe if you have young kids around, maybe that does happen pretty early, or pets that come and jump on you and wake you up. I know. It can happen, right? But at least our mind's at its, let's say, when your mind's still, and I'd wake up and go, my mind's not still. Stillest, I like to say, so that your mind's at its quietest and before we engage in the day. And it helps us then set a motivation for the day as well, set our direction for the day, set our some sense of virtue for the day, just like this guy, the first prisoner I visited. And he said, sit there in meditation. Everything's going really nice. First thing in the morning, right? And then he'd finish his meditation. He'd say, 5 minutes later, my cellmate pissed me off. And it's just like, well, you had that time. You had all that time, plus the 5 minutes post-meditation. That's pretty good. So we do what we can. So generally, there's a presentation of, you know, in terms of duration, to do like, it comes from Kamala Shila stages meditation, I think middling stages, 1 Gattaka, which is 24 minutes. So often when you come along, maybe for meditations here, or you go on a meditation retreat with someone or someone, the sessions might be structured pretty much around that sort of time, 24 minutes, 20 to 24 minutes. They're sort of like a rule of thumb of around that 20 minutes. I think of 1 Gattaka as, well, that's 24 hours in a day. So if I did 1 minute every hour, that would be fine. I mean, we can think like that. Actually, there was one student who said, made a commitment to meditate every day. Said, I've never broken that commitment, because his commitment was 1 minute. So everything on top's a bonus. But if we just set 1 minute, it's sort of like effort in, result out. You know, what's going to be the result from that? So to stay with 1 minute might be a good place to start, but to stay with that, then we're not going to see results. So generally it's sort of said at least 10 minutes, you know, get a sizable amount of time. But then there are all the other provisos, and we're in subsequent weeks, we'll be looking at obstacles that arise, hindrances in practice. And believe me, ever since meditation's been talked about and people have practiced, they're the same. They're the same problems. It's not, oh, I have this problem. Yeah, everybody does. Okay. So how we deal with it, we've also got that. So it is said, you know, we put effort in, of course, but then if it gets to be that we're more distracted than we are really meditating, or we're falling asleep or so forth, close down the meditation. If you're falling asleep and it's during the daytime, go for a walk, splash water, come back again, reset. So we've just got to work with, start where we're at, what it is possible for me right now. The main thing is to start, to have an attitude to start. Maybe you've already got a well-established meditation practice. I know that some of you have, but the main thing is to start where we're at and make progress. So that, say you're very good at that 24-hour, I mean, maybe you're good at 24 hours meditation as well, but maybe you're good at 24 minutes. And so then you give yourself a further challenge, add on 3 minutes, add on 3 minutes, and add on 3 minutes. So we keep adding within the time frame we have available to us. Always got to say that bit. So I didn't mention about the I did mention about the 4 sessions, but I didn't say. So when it is those 4 sessions in a retreat setting, is a sort of traditional presentation. It's a session before sunrise, right? And I think in many traditions, you know, I'm thinking of friends of mine who follow other spiritual, other than Buddhist traditions, who every morning, you know, they will have their practice finished before sunrise, or their meditation. They will have done their meditation. Oh, they'll have other sessions, but that initial one. So it's dividing up the chunks of the day, one before sunrise, one before midday, one before sunset, and one before going to sleep. Before going to sleep, not while falling asleep. Just saying. I think in general, people like to, if they can do 2 sessions, top and tail the day. So one in the morning, whether it's before sunrise or not, whatever time is earliest you can manage. And then at the end of the day, before sleep. Or while at some point when the mind's still fresh. Fresh enough, okay? So like that. And then of course, we can pepper the day with meditation moments. One job I was at, we were in a basement. They've now got apparently the building. We spent, this was for, I was working at New South Wales University at Nurragilly, the Aboriginal Study Centre there, Indigenous Studies, not just Aboriginal, Indigenous Studies. And we'd forever be in our professional developments designing the building that we wanted, which was like that. We went and saw where the business studies were. We said, oh, we like their centre. But we knew we were never going to have the business studies building. Anyway, apparently they've got that now. But at the time we were in the basement of the library, no windows, no whatever. And I had an office out the back, but the bathrooms were way out the back, and it was totally private. Like, no, it wasn't for the public coming in and out. So I used to go out there and nobody was going to disturb me in a cubicle. It's okay. It's not, oh, you can't do that. Can you do that? Okay, so wherever we can, and then finding the times a day. That's right, we're up to times a day. And peppering your day. Any moment you find yourself a waiting moment is a meditating moment. You know, just turn it. So when we meditate, we have an object of meditation. It's not, as I said, it's not just relaxing. There are many ways to relax. But in meditation, we have an object of focus because we're wanting to cultivate our mind. So we have to know what it is, how we're going to cultivate our mind. Okay. And so then, traditionally, it's presented in terms of these 6 preparatory rites or rituals, practices before you sit. Well, they're not all before you sit down. Some are before you sit down and some are afterwards. And we're not going to focus on all of these because this comes up in much more detail later when we get to establishing a daily practice, which is module 8. Sometime next year, I guess. That one comes along. But nonetheless, picking these aspects. So that we, first of all, we clean the place. We make it clean, we make it nice. We have to, on 2 levels. On one level, we want to make it attractive for us, because we have to encourage ourselves to go to that place, that seat, whatever. We can choose whatever sort of, whether we're sitting on cushions, whether we're sitting on a chair. We'll get onto posture later and look at that in a little bit more detail. You know, some to make it comfortable for ourselves, right? So we make it comfortable, and we keep the place clean. In the sort of traditionally, it's presented that you clean it every day, you know, before you set up for your meditation. It's also, we're wanting to invite the blessings of the Buddhas and so forth into that space. So if I think that if I'm going to invite, you know, the most, you know, VIP guest into my house, what do we do beforehand? We clean, you know, we make it clean, we make it nice to welcome them in. And then maybe some of you already have that place. If you don't have an altar, we set up not as elaborate. Well, you can as elaborate. Go for it. I mean, if you've got the space. But we set up an altar, and generally it's said to at least have the image of the Buddha, but 3 aspects of an image of the Buddha. If you have a statue, fantastic. If you don't have a statue, it can be a picture of, you know, an image of a Buddha, remember, a reminder. I mean, we can have the whole merit field, like here, very elaborate, but, you know, at least, you know, an image of the Buddha, which generally, like here, goes in the center. And then if like from, got my back to the altar, from the altar side, then on that side, right, my right, we put a Dharma text. It can be, I like, you know, in Asia, I see a lot, they have these teeny, like if you only got a teeny tiny space, teeny tiny little texts, right? And then on the other side, which is my left, but your right, putting a stupa image, which can again be an image. Alternately, you could put on your altar something like, I mean, this is quite a big, hefty tome, but this book, Liberation Palm of Your Hand, or How to Meditate, or so forth, books that are, have the logo of Wisdom Publications, which is a stupa. It's got Buddha images inside, it's got text inside, it's got everything. So some people do like that. You know, when I was in Sydney, one nun very kindly gave me a traveling altar, and it was a laminated postcard, of the Mahabodhi stupa, the stupa in Bodh Gaya, with, and she'd sort of layered it. So it had a little text in front. So it had the Buddha image, the text, the stupa, and on the back side, she'd put a little bit of this, one of these yellow cloths, just a little bit, which was part of one of the ones that had been offered to the Buddha statue at Bodh Gaya. It was my special little, just like that, traveling altar, just like that. I mean, if you find yourself in hotel rooms or visiting other people, and you think, I'm not going to take all that, you can just take your postcard. Yeah, you know, we can be creative, right? So we do what we can. We arrange representations. We say a body, speech, and mind. The body, speech, and mind of the Buddha, the statue, the body, the text is the speech, and the stupa representing the mind of the Buddha. And if you say, I'm not sure if I'm ready for that yet, that's fine. That's okay. I'm presenting as is. Okay. And then in front of that, we make offerings. So here we have offerings of water. And water traditionally is a very wonderful thing to offer, because I don't think we can say it's free anymore, can we? Because we pay water rates. But at least it's not expensive. And so far, checking out the water here, it's pretty pure. But we do all sorts of things like, you know, put them through filters and things like that for our minds to make it offering something really pure. So as pure as possible. And when it's talked about whatever we want to offer on the altar, I used to love when I was, before I ordained, and I was living in a house and with a garden, and I just loved waiting for the flowers. Oh, those flowers are going to come up, they'll be next, and then you'll be next, and like going around the garden and seeing what next flowers were going to go on the altar, just flowers from my own. Very nice, very uplifting for the heart. And then, sometimes lights and so forth. We'll go through this a little bit. But water has all these delicious qualities. So I want to read. So traditionally in Tibet, here we put saffron in, it makes it look like delicious golden nectar, which is all very uplifting for our mind. And they're lovely offering bowls. And we decide, oh, I like the look of that one, one that's pleasing to our mind. So whether we offer 8 or 1 or whatever is like, might depend on our space, what we have available and so forth, is all okay. There's one story in Liberation of Palm of one monk who he only had 1 bowl. And so he'd offer that in the morning. A lot of the Tibetans in that, they use like wooden bowls or sometimes copper bowls or something like that. Copper, brass or metal ones, which is good for traveling actually. They're not, rather than the glass. Anyway, so he would offer it, and then when he wanted breakfast, he'd say, "Oh, excuse me, Buddha, can I just borrow it back, please?" And he'd wash it up and do. And then when he'd finished, he'd purify it and offer it back again to the Buddha. So when he wanted a cup of tea, so back. So depending on how many times. Okay, so the qualities of water. And again, it's really wonderful to reflect on these. So Lama teacher said the water in Tibet has 8 properties, and so you only need to offer water bowls. The qualities as presented, Vasubandhu, Treasury of Knowledge. So Vasubandhu, the half-brother of Arya Asanga. And so they were both great Indian scholars that we study to this day. So the qualities: cool, delicious, light and soft, clear, odorless, easy on the throat and kind to the stomach is the water with the 8 properties. So the 8 properties. Your ethics will be pure because the water you offer is cool. Because it is also delicious, you will come to enjoy the most delicious food. The lightness of the water means your mind and body will become fit. The water's softness results in a gentle mind stream. A clear mind results from the water's clearness. Its odorlessness will purify you of karmic obscurations. And because the water does not hurt the stomach, your body will be free of illness. Its being easy on the throat means you will come to have pleasant speech. So how delightful is that? You can contemplate that anytime you're drinking water or offering water or anything else to do with water. Just think about these qualities. So beautiful. So it can be quite powerful, those offerings. So again, I'm not going to go into elaborate detail because that again comes along in a later module. But if you were to offer water, so why we offer these 8, and they say that's why they offered the 8, because of the qualities. But then in India, it became to be following the Hindu tradition of if somebody arrives at your house, first of all, you've cleaned your house because you've invited a guest. So you've made it all very nice and clean. And then they arrive, and you might have already put flowers and things around, and they arrive. And the first thing you offer is water for them to drink. You know, okay, we're going back in time. They've trekked a long distance, haven't just got out of their aircon car. They've traveled a long distance. And then water for bathing the feet. And then, you offer flowers, sort of like when you go on a date. It used to be. Offering flowers, the beauty, which represents the beauty of the Buddha's body and so forth. We can think like that, beautiful. And then incense, which is sort of like, we would say, room freshener. Purify the place. So we have that ritual. And again, we try to get as pure substances as possible for our offerings on the altar. So the incense that is pure, we often use a sort of Tibetan incense, and it supports the monasteries and nunneries, but also that the substances themselves are pure. It's not mixed up with some chemicals and stuff. So as pure as we can. And then you offer perfume, because we're getting on to next one's food, but before that they freshen up before dinner, and it's just like bit of perfume before dinner or aftershave or whatever. And then food, make the food offerings, and then the last one's music, after dinner entertainment. So it sort of comes from a tradition that, not so much a spiritual tradition, inviting guests to your house. So you can think the most VIP guests that you're inviting in. Okay. So I won't say more about those particular rites right now. We'll go on to the setting up your seat, your meditation seat, which is the next one in these preparatory rites anyway. We set up a meditation seat. So here you've come in and you've found a meditation seat set up for you, and maybe you've made some slight adjustment, and maybe you would do it differently at home. So we find, as it says, a stable base to sit on that provides you with good support. So when we look at the image of Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, a stable support is cross-legged in Vajra posture with the representation of the Buddha is also very helpful, because it also gives you all the meditation tips of how to sit. And you think, if ever, it's a long time since I could ever do that. Sit with my thigh, I could, but I was much younger myself, with the soles of your feet on the opposite thigh. Why? Because it does provide a stable foundation, but if it provides more pain than anything else, then it's wrong for you. Just saying, the object is not pain. So we make it as comfortable as possible. If we're indeed sitting on a cushion and sitting cross-legged, or we can sit cross-legged however we can and pop cushions, like I've got one here under this knee, to really support us. or we sit with one leg in front of the other. It's said to be Burmese style. So we make adjustments however we can. And actually, before we do that, like there's a cushion here. Well, so it's a bigger cushion, but only a little bit under my bottom, under our bottom, to be able to tilt the pelvis forward. It does tilt the pelvis forward for you. Some people have the meditation seats that do that as well, if their legs can go underneath. Mine certainly can't. I can't see anyone with one here. But, you know, like that, so that it tilts your pelvis forward and then your spine naturally goes in a straight line. And that's the most important out of all the aspects of the meditation posture. So here we're looking at what we call this, it's on the blue sheet, this 7-8 point Varachana meditation posture, which gives you a sense of dignity. It helps us to set formal meditation posture, like now I'm in formal meditation. Not just, oh, I think I'll do some meditation sometime soon. No, not like that, up here. So the legs in that Vajra posture I've described. And the back, the spine should be straight and it says shoulders raised, but not like, but when I was at Vajrayana Institute, there would be a school that came for meditation because they meditated at school. It was a Christian school. It was St. Joan of Arc school. They had their little St. Joan of Arc. It was so cute. And I remember them coming in to meditate, and I say, do you meditate at school? Yes, miss. And the shoulders would be up around their ears. Yes, miss, we meditate. This is how we meditate. And squish. Right? It's like, relax. So there's a sense of being raised in a sense of uplift, but it's more like an uplift from sort of the diaphragm from there. So, and as you can see with the Buddha, the shoulders are broad but relaxed, okay? And the body being centered and having the spine like this really helps with that. So as it says, so Venerable Gendrundrupla put this together for a previous round of discovering Buddhism, so that if we're sort of collapsing forward, it says to be straight like an arrow. And then I used to give that instruction in meditations, and people say, I don't like the pointy bit down the bottom. But if we look at it, actually, indeed, the coccyx is the pointy bit down the bottom. So it sort of does work. But I abandoned that image because I didn't want people to get an aversion to arrows in their body. And I like the pile of coins because it's probably more representative of the vertebrae being stacked on top of the other. And we also get that, like, if we visualize a pile of coins and it starts to, you know, sort of collapse, then it's all going to fall apart. In other words, our concentration falls apart. So, and then how we remedy that is just tilting the pelvis forward again and bringing up into a straight line again. But here, as Gendrundrupa said, you know, we always put all this symbolism in as well, right? So that if it's sort of falling forward, it's the mind of ignorance, which is also interpreted as a mind of confusion. And I like that one better because it's sort of more murkiness, you know, confusion, more murkiness, you know, if it's like that. If we do collapse forward in meditation, you are in good company. There was a Lama leading meditation, and the next minute we heard clunk on the microphone. It was a microphone stand. It happens. It happens to us all. Relax. And then it said, if it's backwards, and I think this is more in relation to the head, because if you're back and you've got your nose stuck up in the air, we do think that's pride, don't we? You've got your nose stuck up in the air. So that's the sort of backwards one. And to the right is apparently jealousy. Now, when I was doing the Cultivating Emotional Balance teacher training, we did have ones about contempt. That was sort of like that. Apparently, if you've got contempt in your relationships, be careful. It's sort of predicted, okay, I can't remember which one, if it's the male or the female, but anyway, it was predicted your marriage is going to last 3 years or 5 years, dependent on the level of contempt. Sorry, I'm not trying. Anyway, and left this way, desire. I mean, I would think desires, anyway, it's all just to practice mindfulness. I mean, don't get too hooked up on literally, just it's to help us be mindful. And the eyes being slightly open or slightly closed, as we see with the Buddha, so the instruction is hooded. So half open, half closed. Like you do in the, those who do yoga and you go to the Shavasana, which is the corpse posture, which is indeed the posture, if you were meditating lying down, that you would adopt. And your eyes are half open, half closed. And they've said that in the studies on yoga, that it actually does help pacify the mind, having this half open, half closed. And but the eyes themselves are just relaxed in the socket. So they're sort of, we're not using our eyes in meditation. Meditation is totally a mental process. But you can see we've provided the external good conditions in terms of our place of meditation, our seat of meditation, and now the internal good conditions of the body. So we make it as optimal as possible. And then the mouth and jaw relaxed in their natural, just naturally. Okay, so that the jaw is soft. So you said that your mouth is open, but the lips are just lightly touching. In other words, you're not clenching the jaw. When we think, oh, I've got to concentrate, like the kids who came over, everything was concentrated. All of that should be relaxed, everything relaxed. And then the tongue at the back of the palate, of the hard palate, behind the upper teeth. And this is that function of, if any saliva comes, it'll go down your throat. And it also allows the airways to be open. And by adopting this posture, particularly, I didn't mention the neck long, which naturally brings your chin slightly down towards your chest, right? So like that. So that becomes your posture. And we familiarize with this again and again over time. So those people sitting in a chair, we adapt and we look more like Maitreya Buddha, right? The Buddha of loving kindness to come. So at Vajrayana Institute, again, we were ordering new chairs, and we got the people who came to meditation to test out the different style of chair, which would be better for meditation. And so we bought those ones. And then they'd come along and going, I'm Maitreya Buddha, sitting like that in the chair. It is also a formal posture. So the feet are firmly planted on whatever surface, right? Just like to provide that stability, and that your, feet are under your knees. So firm, solid foundation, everything in alignment, the body balanced. So same, everything else the same. And then we also place our hands, a right hand in the left hand, on top of the left hand with the thumbs lightly touching, and rest them in our laps, just in a relaxed fashion. Okay. And then, as we sort of settle into this posture, when we transition into this posture, we're going to do this 9-round breathing exercise, just to sort of transition and that allow any tension to dissolve and so forth. So let's just set our posture now, and we can do some actual couple of minutes meditation practice. So first of all, from what we've gone through, make any adjustments in your posture that provide you. And see, we've only gone through 7 points. The 8th point is the breath. So that's coming along. So regardless of whatever meditation we do, usually at the beginning, we have a component of settling the mind on the breath. Okay. So just settling into your conducive posture, turning your attention inwards, resetting your motivation. We set a motivation that is like what you decided at the end, reflecting on at the beginning of this session today of why you're here and engaging in this, resetting your motivation for that. Or a new one if you've revised it since then. But thinking, we're doing this to cultivate more and more familiarization with virtuous states of mind. So I'll guide you through this, just this brief 9-round breathing exercise. Which also helps us, we were talking about purification of the negative and then arising the positive states of mind, but it also helps with the subtle energies in the body, which are not like physical parts of our body, because it brings our body and mind more to a state of balance, of ease, of equilibrium, of quiescence. So then this 9-round breathing exercise, maybe some of you are familiar with, but I'll guide you through. Sometimes when people do this, they, when we're doing the first part, they, put their finger on the right nostril while the breath's coming in and then change over. That's not really necessary. You can just visualize that's happening. Okay. So we do 3 breaths, just being aware of the breath coming in through your left nostril and going out through the right nostril. And so as you do that, you can think on the breath out, any desire, energy, attachment, energy, wanting the best meditation, wanting it to be different, whatever goes out. And then, yeah, we'll do that 3 times. And then reverse the process and concentrate now on the breath coming in the right nostril and going out the left nostril. And as you do that, think of as a breath going out, it's cleansing away, purifying, getting rid of any irritation, frustration, the sort of anger energy, whatever level, impatience, that sort of quality with your breath out, any aversion, dissolving out, disappearing into nothingness, doesn't pollute the environment, but allows your mind to settle more and more in a state of equilibrium. 3 breaths like that. And then we can concentrate on the breath coming in through both nostrils and out through both nostrils. And as we do, we can visualize as we breathe in, we're inhaling all the Buddha's qualities in the form of bright light. And as we breathe out, we're breathing out to all the environment around us, all those positive qualities, all the good vibes. You can continue to just focus on your breath in and out through the nostrils or in the whole of your body or in your abdomen, wherever you are aware of your breath in your body. Simply aware of the natural relaxation that comes with the out breath that helps the body and mind settle, transition into meditation. Continuing to focus on the breath out, releasing, relaxing any tension, any tightness anywhere in the body. Let any tension you experience around the face, the shoulders, the chest, anywhere at all, legs, melt away like a shower of water flowing down the body and just dissolving it out. Let it melt into softness. And feel the weight of your body, surrender that to gravity. In other words, feeling well anchored, quite stable, anchored to the ground below, the earth coming up to support you, the chair, the cushion, the floor, all supporting you, rising up to support you in your practice. Continuing to settle into this posture, familiarizing with the posture, maintaining a dynamic balance. The body is always sort of moving at some subtle levels, but having that quality of stillness, relaxation, and alertness as you continue to simply focus, just mere focus on the breath in and out, just that. And then whatever stillness, relaxation, alertness, hold that quality as you open your eyes. So it was very, very brief. Or maybe it was very long. I don't know. It's your experience. So now what I'd like you to do is we'll just have, it's good to have some reflection discussion. So if you just want to turn to someone around you, whatever's convenient, 2 or 3 of you together, and just think, where am I up to with my meditation practice? What are some qualms? Am I, from what we've heard today, has that refreshed something for you? Just where things are at and where you'd like it to be. Just some general introduction to each other first. Introduce yourselves. And then just a couple of minutes discussion about that reflection. If 2, 3, whatever, yeah.
That's how I actually was through yoga. Sort of normal yoga that we practice doing at home every day, just to help my body sort of stay supple and more useful. And I notice, when you relax, and that's when I thought there's something in this. Similar. The Tuesday meditation we do attended walking meditation just in the dark. And find that people that come to Tuesday meditation, because I had effectively I took it on to leave after Venerable it was a Buddhist nun. She'd been doing it for years, and it was a further consistent group that was coming along. And then when she decided to retire, it was what we doing that.
Venerable Droma.
Yeah, Droma. But she had started. That was her format for the Tuesday meditation, was to do 10 minutes walking. She thought herself, we'll keep the same format because that's what people are used to. And a lot of people have joined it since. At any time I've sort of sent them out to say, well, do you enjoy meditation, or should we just, get straight into it? And so, it is, they find that it's a good way to start setting. It also helps them become a little bit more familiar with the body. When you just look at the sensations that are present in the body, it sort of starts to get the mind focused on. It helps the mind sort of disconnect from the business and move into the body. Yeah. Well, that's one of the interesting things that I
Okay, so sorry to cut short your individual conversation. Is it okay to cut it short there? And if there's any points people want to raise now, we can maybe deal with one or two, but these are also, we can reflect on that during the week from our conversations, from our experience. And I do encourage you to do, you know, however long sessions, however frequency. I've got a, those of you who've registered, you see there's a little homework sheet, but there's a reading to do and thinking about, you know, engaging in a regular practice. And you can also say why you didn't, if you know, just, this is nobody's judging anyone. It's just, we all suffer, we all endure the same obstacles, and whether they're internal, external, whatever stuff happens. So it's just, you know, helping each other on this journey, which is what I was hearing a bit of in the discussions, a little bit that I heard. I wasn't sort of spying, but just to hear a little bit. But did anyone want to raise a point or clarification?
So just I've had a number of false starts trying to do meditation.
A lot of false starts trying to.
Keep on going that cycle. What's the key?
Yeah, so that's what we're here for, isn't it? Looking at what's the key to, you know, to that. A little bit we've touched this morning in terms of we have to entice ourselves into the practice. We have to make it attractive, and we have to continue to do that on a regular basis. So you can think about in the week ahead, some of the things that you've heard today about how we can do that. And then recognize that we're in here for the long haul, you know, we're in here for the long haul. And, you know, it comes to a thing of, you get to a point where you realize the benefits of it. And so you want to do it, but we have to get ourselves to that point, isn't it? Yeah, because it doesn't come instantaneously, you know. So yeah, it does require effort on our part to do that. And to do it always in a joyful way. If I think, you know, always have that smile on the inside, as Thich would say, that it's a joyous thing because we want to develop positive states of mind. And however much we can do, also, if we do a minute, or even we didn't do that minute, but we thought about doing that minute, I'm not encouraging you just to stop there, but rejoice in that, you know. Or I decided where to set up my meditation place, or I decided when, you know, just everything that we do, yay, I'm on the path, you know. There was some, I think one time I was having to do some writing, and I started and I thought, well, right now I'll just sit down and draw up the chart, just the lines. And then I thought, well, I've got the lines, I might as well start. So it's like, it'd be surprising. It was just like, I decide where the seat is going to be. Oh, well, I might as well give it a go. I'll see if it works. Yes.
When you were talking about that, I've recently seen a YouTube clip called Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits.
He's written a book, his name is James Clear, and he talks about, he says one of the things about making something a habit is to actually, he says, backcast and think what could get in your way. So if it's like making the time, it's like think what obstacles would come in your way.
Yeah.
And basically come up with a plan to
overcome your problems before.
If you can't do it today, if you can't do it in the mornings, what are you going to do to make sure you're going to do it once in that day? So it's a really very short video.
Okay.
Really
Atomic
Habits. So because you were talking about just
yes
today.
Have you registered for this course? In other words, could you just send an email with the link to, or send the link? Okay, just send the link through, and maybe then everyone, any resources that people have like that, share, you know. I mean, there's a lot of, you can see, you know, sort of referring to things as we go through. But there is, yeah, a lot out there. Atomic Habits, I like the sound. Yeah, very good. Okay, did anybody?
I think it's also really important to acknowledge that there's a really negative side to overcome, which for me was like, I signed up to do the teachings for a year. And I hated it.
A mind of aversion arises. Yeah, yeah.
So like, I can really relate to you about difficulty,
Yeah,
but I kind of made myself do it.
yeah.
And I learned all these terrible things about,
Or good things.
well, yeah. like,
About terrible things.
Yes.
You learn good things about terrible things.
So it's just not to really, like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be always joyful. You
No,
like-
when absolutely.
So
And this is the thing.
it's like,
This is-
yeah.
yeah.
Encourage you that
Actually,
hang in there, kind of thing.
yeah, we do look at antidotes, and the first obstacle that comes up is laziness, and then we look at what different forms of laziness takes in the Buddhist context, and it's not just, you know, one global thing. And keep in mind that every single person that has ever sat to meditate has experienced that, and maybe for a long time, you know. So yeah, we do have to persuade ourselves by various means. And so what happens in this is various means are thrown out. You're like, oh, I like that. That one I could do. Atomic, whatever, what is it? Habits I can do. I just like the title. Okay, that's good enough. I better watch the thing now and then maybe do what it says. So we've got to give ourselves little baby steps, and not make it too big. Not make it too like, if we say, I'm going to for the rest of my life, oh boy, whoa, fox, you know.
That can be for the beginner. It can be one of the major obstacles if the expectations are too high.
We set ourselves expectations. It's like the guy in Long Bay, some of you have heard me say, who said, I tried meditation once, it didn't work. Once was a clue. And then I said, how long did you try for? 5 minutes. So 1 was he tried. 2, it was only once. 3, it was only 5 minutes. You think you're going to transform all the negativity of your mind in that time?
But it is okay to start at 5 minutes and gradually build up.
Yes, it's absolutely fine, but with the idea that you are going to do it more than once.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So we've got a lot of grist for the mill to work with, and all these obstacles that arise, everyone has. So the thing to start with is not beating ourselves up for the obstacles that we have, because that will guarantee you won't even go near a meditation cushion. Or if you know, any difficulties arise, we abandon things, you know, whereas we've got to do the opposite. Okay. Well, we're drawing to a close for today. So as I've got here, you know, just keep a check of if you meditate every day, even watching the breath like that. So, and then I've got down the bottom of this sheet for those who might be checking, stabilizing and analytical meditation, which we're unpacking over the next coming weeks. And I encourage you to do the readings as well, or read something. Okay, so then page 16, we'll just do gathering together all our energy. This is what we do at the conclusion, is all the positive energy we've generated here together, because we need more and more of that. Thank you very much, that it continue to grow. So page 16, through the merits of the, underneath the bold bit, I mean the capitals, the line with the capitals, through the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the precious body mind not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase for evermore. So thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.
And yeah, see yourself as the scientist in the lab of your mind, and just experiment. Just experiment with an open, free, happy mind. Now I've got to go to, I think I have to stop the recording.